A video has been published online showing the moment of a dangerous approach between a Russian Su-35 fighter and a French combat drone MQ-9 Reaper over the Mediterranean Sea. The head of the French Ministry of Defense, Sebastien Lecornu, hastened to complain on one of the Western social networks about the dangerous actions of the Russian fighter, which could have led to the loss of control and crash of the MQ-9 Reaper UAV. According to Lecornu, a Russian Aerospace Forces Su-35 made 3 passes over an MQ-9 Reaper that was carrying out a reconnaissance mission in international airspace over the eastern Mediterranean. The French defense minister called the actions aggressive, deliberate, and unacceptable. With a maneuver captured on camera by a French drone, the Russian pilot sent a clear signal to the MQ-9 Reaper operator that he should leave the area. Reapers have repeatedly approached Russia's borders in the past while conducting reconnaissance missions. Tensions between Russia and France are worsening as Paris's support of Kyiv remains steadfast. An increase in tensions between Paris and Moscow and possible attacks could trigger Article 5 of the Alliance's Charter, which states that a strike on one member state would be met with a collective response. The MQ-9 Reaper drone, utilized by France in this instance, is an unmanned aircraft system developed by General Atomics Aeronautical Systems to fly at medium-high altitudes for long flights, according to Global Defense News. The Su-35 fighter jets have been frequently utilized by Russia in attacks on Ukraine since February 2022. Not the first time Russian fighter jets have previously targeted MQ-9 Reaper drones. 2 Russian Su-27 aircraft conducted an unsafe and unprofessional intercept with a U.S. Air Force Reaper drone operating in international airspace over the Black Sea in March of 2023. In this instance, the U.S. Reaper drone was struck and downed, and Russian authorities later said they would try to locate the remnants of the drone in the sea. The altercation between France and Russia in international airspace comes amid an increase in airspace incidents involving Moscow. NATO has since bulked up its defenses by launching 2 new multinational high-visibility initiatives to improve the protection of its airspace and strengthen its deterrence and defense, according to NATO's press release. Russian occupiers are trying to attack the positions of the Ukrainian defense forces on the Kursk bridgehead from both sides. Ukrainian military observer Denis Popovich reported this on Radio NV. The situation on the left flank is alarming now. They are trying to cut off logistics. What happened last week in the Sumy region is in light of these attempts to cut off logistics. This route goes from the Sumy region to Sudza, and with the help of which our troops are supplied in the Kursk region, this route is under constant drone attacks. The enemy is trying to either cut off this route or completely separate our bridgehead in the Kursk region from the border with Ukraine, Popovich said. He also spoke about the situation in the Kupiansk direction. According to the observer, the enemy is trying to advance there and is putting pressure on Kupiansk itself from 3 sides. This is a logistics hub, and if this city is captured, the enemy will directly threaten the north of Donetsk Oblast. Therefore, we should expect advances there. These threats have already existed for months, Popovich said. At the same time, the expert noted that now the Russians cannot attack in several directions at the same time, as they did several months ago. Therefore, the occupiers are forced to choose one direction, which in their opinion will be the most promising. Popovich noted, there is information that they can transfer troops to this triangle, Torets, Chasov Yar, Konstantinovka, to begin an offensive on Konstantinovka. If we talk about Toretsk, there was information that we were able to advance in the remains of this city. There was even information that we managed to reach the central part of the city, and certain parts of the Russian army could end up surrounded. But this is a situation of street fighting. it is dynamic and changeable. Russian military commanders in Ukraine are lying about their successes, leaving their troops vulnerable to attacks by Kiev's forces, according to reports. Pro-Moscow military bloggers have pinned Russian setbacks in the Donetsk regional city of Toretsk on commanders faking successes to curry favor with the military and political leadership and earn bonuses. According to the bloggers, the mistruths have likely resulted in Russian troops attacking defended positions without adequate artillery or air support and have cost thousands of Russian lives. The reports follow those of Ukrainian gains in Toretsk, where fighting continues in the city centre, and the complete encirclement of Russian occupiers in several areas. Military Analysis X channel Chris Zero_Wiki noted complaints by pro-Moscow Telegram channels about Russian commanders lying about their successes. In a thread, the account said that recent Russian setbacks in Toretsk in the Donetsk region are being blamed on these phenomenon, which has been a regular occurrence throughout the 3-year war. Russians appear to have prematurely declared victory in Toretsk, which they have renamed as Zelenski, after the founder of the Soviet secret police, Felix Zelenski. But the Rybar Telegram channel said despite Russian forces' claims to have taken the city in Donetsk in early February, commanders were making the report to the top to curry favor with the military and political leadership. The French Air Force E-3 AWACS airborne early warning aircraft, accompanied by 2 Dassault Mirage 2000D fighters, entered the Crimean Air Defense Control Zone. Such data is provided by the Flight Radar 24 service. It is emphasized that the E-3, as well as one of the fighters, are flying with their transponders turned off. But that's not all. According to the same service, another French Beech King Air 350ER electronic reconnaissance aircraft is operating in the direction of Crimea, apparently against the backdrop of cooling relations between Ukraine and the United States. Paris has decided not only to increase its participation in the conflict, but also to demonstrate its strength to Moscow. According to experts, President Macron has recently been diligently trying on the crown of the leader of all of Europe, taking advantage of the fact that there are essentially no other serious politicians on the continent at the moment. At the same time, in his public statements, the leader of the Fifth Republic emphasizes that sending a European military contingent to Ukraine is currently out of the question. "They're testing us," said Colonel Viktor Baranets, a military analyst for Komsomolskaya Pravda, in a statement to the outlet, framing it as a deliberate NATO probe. No Western sources, French, NATO or otherwise, have corroborated the story as of now, leaving it tethered to Russian narratives and a single social media breadcrumb. If the Russian claims hold, the trio's path near Crimea fits a pattern of NATO surveillance missions over the Black Sea, though rarely so close. Since Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea, France and allies have flown E-3 AWACS from Romania or international waters, peering across Ukraine and Russian-held territories, per NATO.int. Crimea, a linchpin for Russia's Black Sea dominance, bristles with defences S-400s at Feodosia, Pantsir S-1 batteries and Su-30s at Belbek. A French incursion, even in disputed airspace, could jolt NATO-Russia ties, already frayed by Ukraine's war. "It's a tightrope," said Lieutenant General Thomas James, ex-US Air Force, to Breaking Defense in February. For now, the E-3's shadow, if it was there, casts more questions than answers, a fleeting blip in a simmering standoff.